Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 132-121 loss to the Atlanta Hawks. I have a solo pod here today. I apologize if the energy's a little bit lower than usual. Feeling pretty under the weather today, but still gotta bust out this reaction video because the Toronto Raptors are coming off a game which was arguably one of the best games of the season, beating the Brooklyn Nets, and they're obviously super team they're forming over there in New York. But the Toronto Raptors came out tonight on the second night of a back-to-back and just didn't really have the energy. They played well to start in this one, but once the midway through the second quarter came, they were fighting from behind the whole time, and I'm not discouraged about this loss. I want to get that out of the way with the start. When you're going up against a motivated team, the Atlanta Hawks just lost their last 3 games, so they want to come into this one raring to go, get a W against the Raptors, a team that they're fighting for a position in the Eastern Conference with. The Raps and the Hawks have very similar records. The Hawks at 11-12 right now, the Raptors at 10-13. So these are teams that are going to be fighting for playoff position right now. And the Hawks came out motivated. The Raptors obviously looking pretty out of gas, especially in that fourth quarter down the stretch. The team just really didn't have a lot going for it. So I get this loss. It is what it is. It's tough to sort of drill out these wins on second nights of back-to-back, especially against good teams that are really motivated. But we'll dive into the players. We'll talk about some of the positives in this one. The first player we got to talk about is Chris Boucher. 29 points, a career high for Chris Boucher. 29 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, and this is the ideal matchup for Chris Boucher. Obviously, no big lumbering center out there to sort of bully him down low, knock him around a lot in the paint, and even though he does take some hits, and he's certainly not afraid of the aggression, when a team has the thinner, the lighter players on the end, like Clint Capella, John Collins and stuff, Chris Boucher can really throw his weight around, finish over the top of them, work in the post, and tonight the threes were going down. Riker and I brought up on previous podcasts how Chris Boucher, we don't mind him being out the court, not knocking down the threes or whatnot, but he got to come out there with the energy, looking to attack, looking to drive, and then when the threes go down, that's just icing on the cake. And tonight, he had 2 of 4 from the three-point line, 10 of 13 from the field. So doing the stuff we like to see from Boucher, 7 of 13 from the free throw line, which is kind of interesting, pretty low for a guy that, in theory, is a solid shooter. So, I don't know, I was really impressed with his performance tonight, and after that really hot stretch of games that Boucher had that put him onto the map, allowed us to waive Alex Len and sort of give that backup center role to Boucher, he sort of cooled off from that point, and we were wondering if Boucher would really be that consistent piece for this team that he sort of branded himself as being, and nights like tonight give us a lot more hope about him going forward and him being able to command a solid part of the rotation, because Aaron Baines clearly isn't that guy that's going to be reliable night in, night out. So you want at least one big man that you can sort of count on to be giving you buckets in the paint, stretching the floor, doing these sorts of things, provide solid defense. And Boucher has to step in that role, and the performance tonight, it's indication that he's taken another step in that direction. So hopefully more consistency from Boucher, but certainly a strong night, strong performance for him. Another player I want to talk about, Fred VanVleet, who 6 of 18 from the field, but still had 25 points, 10 assists, and overall I thought played a solid game. I think the Toronto Raptors as a whole looked a bit tired, looked a bit gassed, as I brought up earlier in the pod, but Fred VanVleet, he sort of tried to push through it, and down the stretch of this one, hit a couple shots that kept the Raptors sort of in it. Him and Lowry hit a couple of nice ones. Lowry only had 9 points tonight after his ridiculous performance against the Nets, but that's pretty reasonable. But I don't know. I think that was a solid performance from the guys. I'm not sort of overreacting or underreacting to these box scores. Norman Powell had 20 points and 1 of 5 from the three-point line. He's had a really tremendous, I looked at the stats, he's shooting about 42% from the three-point line this season. So nice to see Norman Powell come back into form after a slow start to the year. Not hitting the threes, but was able to slash. Missed a couple bunnies that would have really helped the Raptors on their make a little momentum swing and get this game back at the end of this one, but unfortunately couldn't get those to go down. The Raptors, that just comes with fatigue. Missing shots you usually make, just sort of halfway in the drives. It is what it is. It's a similar theme with all of the players tonight. Pascal Siakam, 15 points, 6 rebounds, 6 of 15 from the field. Not the greatest Pascal Siakam game by any means, but had a couple blocks, 3 steals in this one, so hit a 3 as well. Pascal Siakam hit a corner 3 at the start of this game. He has very much struggled from out there in the as of late, and it's nice to see him get one to go down. Obviously, we want him playing inside out, but when the playoffs come around, he's going to need to be able to just sort of not let the defense sort of disrespect him like we saw tonight. John Collins was sagged off him for a long stretch of this game when he was on defense, and Siakam's doing his dribble moves. I like the aggression, but the three-point shot, just having that threat out there is useful and beneficial. Obviously, we don't want him relying on it, but it would be nice to see him get a couple to go down. So it was nice to see one go down. Hopefully that projects further into the future, because he's a guy that shot 37% from three last season, only 28% this year, and on a less volume, so I'm sure he'll bounce back. The law of averages, he's bound to sort of make a little comeback. He's looking like he's in better shape. He's looking a lot more energetic than he did at the start of the season, so I don't know. I think Pascal Siakam will be fine. Aaron Baines, I'll leave him for later. Nothing real notable. DeAndre Bembry came out, gave solid minutes once again. Hit 2 threes tonight, which is really encouraging, because if he can be a consistent three-point shooter, that was the big question mark for him coming into this season. And now we've seen a couple games where he's been able to knock down a few shots from out there. And if he's capable of hitting those shots on a consistent basis, then that mixed with his defense's slashing ability and the comfort he sort of has dribbling the basketball, making the right plays, I think he could be a real asset. And we brought up the sort of debate about who we'd like to see in the pecking order of him, Stanley Johnson, Utah. If Bembry's knocking down those threes at a high clip, I think I might have to put him pretty high in that order. Obviously, Utah is more of a big man or a little bit taller, so he can guard the post a little bit better, and Stanley Johnson's a bit thicker, but it's nice to see Bembry knock down those shots, play with that energy and all those things. Stanley Johnson had 8 points, Terrence Davis at 7. Not the craziest of games. Stanley Johnson did a couple threes as well, so got to give credit there. But I'm not overreacting. I'm not underreacting to anyone in this. I feel like it's a schedule loss. Jack said on the broadcast that, that this is how these games go. You sort of are projected to lose these back-to-backs when you're on the road. You just had a big emotional night. These are the ones you usually lose. And there's 4 or 5 games like this every season. I just like the fact that we kept fighting. We had the energy. It wasn't like a loss that we had at the beginning of the year where clearly you're worse than the other team, but it's more so just fatigue. And that's maybe an excuse. Obviously, the Raptors would have liked to get this one, especially against a team, as I brought up, you're fighting for a playoff seed with, but I think the Raptors will be fine. They're on a little win. They just came off a little winning streak, so we'll see if that momentum can carry on beyond this game. So that's about it for the players. I guess we'll dive into the segments. And tonight, the spicy P-lay of the day. And tonight, there's nothing that crazy stands out. I might be missing a couple plays here or there, but in this one, I think just Lowry he hit one clutch shot down the stretch, and Fred VanVleet hit one little pull-up, and there were moments where I thought the Raptors would sort of be able to bounce back and get the momentum going. Unfortunately, missed layups, open threes, miscommunications on defense. They let the Hawks sort of stay back in it. So kind of unfortunate for this one. And yeah, that is what it is. But not all plays can be the spicy P-lay of the day, and some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the OG's play of the day. It's got to go down the stretch of this one as well. Pascal Siakam at the end of this game, obviously I'm not bagging on Pascal because second night of a back-to-back, he's been solid as of late. He scored 30 points in the 3 of his last 4 games, so I don't want any Pascal slander on this pod, but the guy did have a couple drives. I think the Raptors are down by 6 at this point with about 3 minutes to go. Fred VanVleet makes a great sort of look-ahead pass to Siakam with really only one guy in front of him, and he does what he was doing. He did what he was doing at the beginning of the season, where he wasn't driving to score. He was driving to sort of look for the fouls, and obviously when a defender goes straight up and you're out of control, sort of just looking for contact, you're not going to get the call and you're not going to make the bucket. So Siakam, obviously, we'd like to see him do more of just attacking the rim, looking to score, more of what we saw against the Brooklyn Nets, the Magic, and these teams, but I don't know. I'm not getting down on Siakam. There's also another play down the stretch, which I think was less on Siakam, more on just Collins and Clint Capella's solid defense. They took out another one of Siakam's transition plays. They kind of look like fouls because Siakam ended up on the floor, but they weren't when you looked at the replay. So those plays definitely made me say, oh geez. But finally, the infamous, the one, the only Damare Carroll Gold Star Award. And yes, we had a big rant about the referees in the last pod, so I don't want to reiterate that, but there's something going on with the referees around the NBA. I'm not saying this just for the Raptors. I'm not saying that the team lost this game by any means because of the refs, but both sides, there were some shady calls, some shady technicals being thrown out, so the NBA's got to clean that up. I'm not sure if the veteran officials are just unwilling to ref now that the league is sort of in a weird state. We're still living in a pandemic, so who knows, but it looks like even some of the veteran officials are making some weird calls, but that's enough diving into that. The guy that we do have to talk about is Aron Baines. Only 2 points tonight. 2 points, 2 turnovers, 3 fouls in 15 minutes of action. 1 of 5 from the field, 0-1 from the 3-point line, and I don't know. It's really tough having Aron Baines out there just struggling to really get things going. And Jack brought up a really good point on the broadcast, saying that these half-court style of games, the Raptors were limited to, I think it was only 7 or 9 fast break points, but in the last 2 minutes of this one, so maybe they got a couple down at the end of it, but very few fast break buckets for the Raptors, and that forces you to play a half-court style offense, and that's something that this team just struggled with last year, struggles vitally with, particularly at the beginning of this season. So at those times, you would just really enjoy a player that you could sort of feed it into and get you easy offense, and Aron Baines just hasn't been able to provide that for this team. Jack brought up Serge Ibaka, but you can even look back to players like Jonas Valanciunas, different bigs, different guys that can just create for you in the half court, get you buckets in the mid-post area, around the rim, get offensive rebounds, and Boucher did a good job at finishing around the rim tonight, but it seemed like a lot of his buckets weren't easy buckets. They were scoring over people, they were hustle rebounds and stuff, so I don't know. It's another case of where we missed Serge Ibaka, we should have paid him, and I'm staying on this high horse. Riker's not here to argue with me about that, so I'll just roll with that and make my claim known. But anyways, you guys are the best for making this far. This game, not overreacting to it. We got a shorter pod here. It's a solo pod. Sort of enough rambling about this one. The Raptors will bounce back. We got a lot of cool stuff to look forward to, but you guys are the best to make this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Check out the articles. Got articles being posted left, right, and center. And I forgot to mention at the beginning of this one, leave a like. It really helps out the channel. We figured that out. Leave a subscribe. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers, so greatly appreciate it. And yeah, you guys are the best. Signing off. Cheers.